other permanent boosts available from the campaign too. On the map you can see icons that indicate the many optional encounters you can find. Some of them have permanent character boosts and others have powerful items. If you're having trouble getting past a boss, it might be a good idea to explore and see what you can find. For example, if you defeat Bday the Remnant, you'll gain a permanent increase to 5 weapon specialization points throughout the campaign from optional bosses and quests.
Go back, my bad.
For example, if I manage to defeat the Crowbell, I'll get a weapon specialization book. There are lots of other permanent boosts available from the campaign too. On the map you can see icons that indicate the many optional encounters you can find. Some of them have permanent character boosts and others have powerful items. If you're having trouble getting past a boss, it might be a good idea to explore and see what you can find. For example, if you defeat Bday the Remnant, you'll gain a permanent increase to fire resistance. One of the most important finds are spirit bonuses. You can find the first one here in the canopy in Act 1. Defeat the boss in this area to acquire a permanent addition of spirit. The permanent buffs you gain from spirit are very powerful, and every class will find a use for them, so make sure you hunt down these upgrades. There's one in each act. Now we haven't even talked about the most important element of character progression, items. That's why we're all here, right?
True.
Items in Path of Exile can be broken down into 4 rarity groups: normal, magic, rare, and unique. One of the things you're going to want to do as you play through the campaign is upgrade the items you find, and you can do that with currency items. An Orb of Transmutation will allow you to upgrade a normal item to a magic item with 1 mod. You can then apply an Orb of Augmentation to add a 2nd mod, then use a Regal Orb to add a 3rd mod, and upgrade it to a rare. Finally, you can use some Exalted Orbs to add more mods to your rare to a total of 6 mods.
Eesh.
One of the things we think is really important is to make these options available to use as you play. All the items that add mods are much more common than they were in Path of Exile 1, so that you can use them throughout your campaign playthrough.
Okay, that'll be really cool. Because I was going to say, like, those were really
much
rare.
More common than
that part
you
I
can
knew.
then apply an Orb of Augmentation to add
I want
a
to see
2nd
what rolled
mod,
on this.
then use a Regal Orb to add a 3rd mod, and upgrade it to a rare. Finally, you can use some Exalted Orbs to add more mods to your rare.
That's pretty cool. All right. Go on.
Into upgrades much more frequently. As well as making the drop rates on these items much more common, you can also get them by disenchanting unwanted gear at the magic item vendor. If you disenchant magic items, you can build up to an Orb of Transmutation, and by disenchanting rares, you can build up to Regal Orbs. Another important area of crafting items in PoE 2 is sockets. Some items you find will have sockets that can have Ezomite runes placed in them that add more mods to the item. If I insert this glacial rune into my helmet, it will give extra cold resistance. This is a great way to solve problems that you have with your build, like resistances or damage.
Yeah,
if you find socketed items that you don't have a use for, you can take them to the salvage bench in town to work towards an Artificer's Orb. This will allow you to add sockets to your existing items. Body armors and 2-hand weapons can have up to 2 sockets, while the rest of your armor and 1-hand weapons can only have 1 socket. You can also salvage items with quality to create items like armor scraps or whetstones. These will allow you to increase the quality of your items for an up to 20% boost.
Cool.
If you don't want to disenchant or salvage your items, you can always sell them for gold. Gold can be used to buy items from vendors, and we've tried to do a lot to make sure that the items they have for sale are actually useful. Every time you level up, they get more stock, so make sure to check back often. Other vendors offer a gamble. Pay a flat amount of gold and you'll get a random item of a specific type. This could be a great way to improve your gear, if you're lucky.
That is really cool.
Gold is also used to respec your passive skills. Take advantage of the system to experiment with your tree and rework it as required.
Very nice. Very
The other
nice.
thing you might want to use gold for is the currency exchange. This allows you to exchange currency items with other players on an open market, in exchange for a small gold fee. Now, all items in Path of Exile are freely tradable. We never bind anything to your character, except gold. Now, most gear in Path of Exile 2 is randomly generated, but there's another type that isn't: uniques. They are especially rare, each with a handcrafted set of unusual mods which can dramatically change a character's build. They're not—
Whoa. 40% increase movement speed at random when hit.
just better rare items. They can do much stranger things that can fundamentally change your character. Corpse Wade will make any corpses you run through explode into clouds of poison.
Okay.
The Sands of Silk is a body armor that changes your dodge roll into a blink. morphing you into sand as you teleport past your foes.
Super cool.
And of course, some uniques are just pure hits of dopamine, like Quill Rain, which just turns your bow attacks into full auto by doubling your attack speed.
I like that.
Each unique is something that you can build your character around. We try to make sure that most unique items have a potential use at endgame, even if you find them early on. And as you can see, every single unique item comes with custom art to match.
That is really cool.
The last character progression system that you can do during the campaign is Ascension. Starting in Act 2, you will come across Ascension trials.
We're going to look at the full
Tests
trees
that
of
you
these
must
in a
complete
minute
to
too.
unlock your Ascension class. We'll explain these trials soon, but first let's take a look at what Ascending can do for your character.
They did release the
Each class
Ascendancy
has access to
trees.
3 Ascendancy classes, but at the start of Early Access, only 2 per class will be available. Ascendancy classes are unique to each character class, so choose one.
Wait, what? Say that again? Each class has 3. Oh, okay. I thought this was the class and it was going down into 2. Got it.
But at the start of Early Access, only 2 per class will be available. Ascendancy classes are unique to each character class, so choose wisely. They can drastically affect how you build your character.
Okay.
As a sorceress, you could become a Storm Weaver, a master of the elements. Tempest Caller causes elemental storms to be summoned each time you do a critical hit with a spell. With Strike twice, you can stack 2 copies of Shock for more damage. And going deeper into the tree, you can make all your damage types apply Shock. Make a Shock build from any skill.
Okay.
Alternatively, you could become a Chronomancer and command time itself. She literally has the ability to stop time with Time Freeze. Not only that, but she has many other time manipulation abilities. Using Temporal Rift, she can teleport back to a previous location, resetting her life and mana back to what it was. Or with Time Snap, she can reset all her cooldowns and cast all her spells again. On the
There has not been a very good game that has been able to utilize a chrono mage, like a time mage, etc., very well in a long time.
Warrior, you can choose between the Warbringer or the Titan. The Warbringer channels the might of his ancestors to gain tremendous power. Using Answered Call, you can summon ancestral spirits linked to each of your totems. With Jade Heritage, you can encase your body in a protective layer that absorbs all damage until it breaks. Warcaller's Bellow allows you to explode the corpses of your enemies. And with Great Wolf's Howl, you can ignore the cooldowns of your war cries. Let all that anger out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The Titan class is all about hitting big. With Earthbreaker, every slam is a chance to create an aftershock. With Crushing Impacts, every hit becomes a crushing blow, which will allow you to stun your enemies with ease. With Surprising Strength, you can take advantage of stunned enemies to deal 40% more damage. As a ranger, you might choose to be a Deadeye, an expert markswoman who can take down foes with style. With Endless Munitions, every attack gains an extra projectile.
Okay.
With Gathering Winds, she gains a small increase to movement speed with every attack. But be careful, she loses them when getting hit. With Eagle Eyes, she will never miss, allowing you to stop wasting all those passive points on accuracy.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
You could become a Pathfinder, the master of flasks and poison. She can choose from one of several throwable concoctions, allowing her to spend her flask charges to throw explosive bottles that deal various types of damage. A bleeding concoction will make your enemies bleed, while a fulminating one can shock your enemies, allowing you to do extra damage.
I don't know if I'm gonna like that or not.
Contagious Contamination allows her to spread poisons between her foes, while Overwhelming Toxicity doubles the number of stacks they can be infected by.
Let's see how strong that is.
Allows her to move much more quickly while firing, while Relentless Pursuit makes her totally immune to being slowed by enemies.
Okay, that's
the
good.
Witch can ascend into the Infernalist or the Blood Mage. As an Infernalist, she can summon a loyal Hellhound companion.
Yo.
The Hellhound sets enemies on fire, as well as taking a percentage of the damage if the Infernalist gets hit. With Pyromantic Pact, you can turn your mana into Infernal Flame. As you cast more spells, the flame builds up, and if it overflows, you'll take damage. Using Bringer of Flame, you'll want to make sure you keep the flames topped up. While your Infernal Flame is above 30%, all damage from you and your minions will ignite enemies. She can also transform into a literal demon. While in demon form, she takes an increasing amount of damage, but her cast speed and damage increase rapidly as well. So if you're planning on transforming into a demon, make sure you stack a lot of life recovery. She can also become a blood mage, a master of life and energy. All blood mages must pay the price of making skills cost life as well as mana, but in exchange, every monster they kill will drop life remnants, which allow them to quickly gain back that life. With Crimson Power, she can gain large amounts of extra life, and with Vitality Siphon, she can use her spells to leech life back as well.
That's gonna be
Once
crazy.
you've got a significant amount of life, you can use Gore Spike to make your critical hits deal incredible amounts of damage. A monk who is in tune with the elements might become an invoker. With elemental expression, the invoker will create waves of elemental power each time he does a critical strike. With faith as a choice, you gain the ability to meditate, allowing you to double your energy shield. Choose between I am the Blizzard or I am the Thunder to specialize in cold or lightning. And I Shall Rage will allow you to turn into an unbound avatar. Each time you apply a status ailment to an enemy, you gain Unbound Fury. When you have enough, transform into an avatar to deal way more damage and inflict even more elemental ailments.
Don't really see the avatar
Some monks
part.
choose to reach into the darkness instead.
Yes.
The Acolyte of Chayula can exchange their mastery of spirit for darkness,
Yes.
a resource that can be utilized to both absorb and deal damage. The Shroud of Darkness will protect you from all damage incoming, but if you take Grasp of the Void, you will deal extra chaos damage from all the darkness you have. Their Dark Pact offers greatly increased resistances to chaos damage and can allow their mana leech to not only happen instantly, but apply to their energy shield as well. Another node you can take is Waking Dream.
Hang on.
Another node you can take. Their Dark Pact offers greatly increased resistances to chaos damage and can allow their mana damage incoming. But if you take
What
deal damage,
I don't know.
the Shroud of Darkness will protect you from all.
Okay. That's in my way. I can't see. Remove all spirit. For each life or energy shield lost to damage, reserve one darkness instead of. Okay.
Damage incoming. But if you take Grasp of the Void, you will deal extra chaos damage from all the darkness you have. Their Dark Pact offers greatly increased resistances to chaos damage and can allow their mana leech to not only happen instantly, but apply to their energy shield as well. Another node you can take is Waking Dream, which allows you to see into the domain of the Breach Demons. There you will see the Flames of Chayula that can be taken to gain life, mana, and damage. The mercenary has a job to do, but which job suits you? You might choose to become a witch hunter. Obsessive Rituals will give you a sorcery ward, allowing you to defend yourself against elemental hits in exchange for less defense against attacks. With Zealous Inquisition, your enemies have a 10% chance to explode on death. The chance is doubled against demons and undead. With Judge, Jury, and Executioner, your initial hit against enemies can deal up to 30% of their life and damage, if you're lucky. This is great for hunting powerful bosses. And with Witchbane, you can break your enemy's concentration, preventing them from casting spells as often as they would usually do. You could also choose to become a Gemling Legionnaire, enhancing your abilities by embedding gems directly in your flesh. Integrated Efficiency will give you extra skill slots. Dermatological Infusion gives you extra maximum resistances as you sock up more and more support gems. Adaptive Capability allows you to use any color of gem without worrying about attributes, while Crystalline Potential adds extra quality bonuses to every gem socketed into your character. So those are the Ascendancy classes for the start of Early Access. But one thing we haven't talked about yet is how you ascend in the first place.
Yes.
Ascension in Path of Exile 2 requires completion of one of the Great Trials, which you'll find as you progress through the campaign. Each one is associated with one of the major cultures of Rayclast. Located in the Vasteri Plains are the Maraketh, a culture of rich tales and brutal traditions, who must do whatever it takes to survive in the desert. The highest position in Maraketh culture is a Sekima, and it is not a title given freely. All aspirants must complete the Trial of the Sekimas, a grueling gauntlet that will test their strength, will, cunning, and patience. To enter, a warrior of the Maraketh must prove their worth by trapping the soul of a djinn in a coin, and you are no different. Once you have earned your coin, it may be placed on the relic altar to begin the trial. In the Trial of the Sekimas, each room has its own challenges to overcome. In this room, each rare monster you kill will send its blood to the chalice in the center of the room. Once the chalice is filled, you will be able to proceed.
Okay, that makes
While
sense.
fighting monsters in the trial, you will need to be very careful. Each hit will not only hurt you, but will damage your honor. The monsters are well telegraphed, so that you can avoid their attacks, but if you run out of honor, you will fail the trial and need to find another coin in order to try again. It is a good idea to make
That's
sure that you are well prepared before
interesting.
challenging the trial of the Secumus. After each room, you will
I don't know how that's gonna work. Like, you have classes that can block attacks from the front, etc. Like, so do they count as getting hit too? And then you have other ones that are like faster and like, I don't know, basing it off of like getting hit. A little strange.
be rewarded. In this case, you have been given a key that can be used to unlock chests later in the trial. Once you have claimed your reward, you will be shown a map of the rest of the floor and may choose how you wish to proceed. Which challenges would you like to face?
That's
and
cool.
which rewards do you want to claim? Some rooms are more dangerous, afflicting you with debuffs that will persist for the entire trial. For example, entering this room
Yeah,
will
that
afflict you with
makes-
spiked shell.
that's a
that
cool,
will cause
way
all
to do them.
monsters in the rest of the trial to have 50% increased life. You will want to take care if you choose such a path. There are many different challenges and rewards as you journey through the trial. Deadly traps, waves of monsters, and strange artifacts will test your honor. As you progress, you'll be able to gain boons from the Jinn, which will help you on your journey. For example, the Secuma's cloak will revive you once if you die, giving you a second shot at a run.
That's cool.
One of the rewards you may find is Sacred Water, an extremely valuable and treasured resource to the Jinn and the Maraketh. Trading it with the Jinn will allow you to receive many benefits. You can recover honor, gain additional boons, or remove afflictions.
Oh.
At the end of the floor, you'll find a powerful boss which will truly
It's like a
test your
roguelite,
limitations.
basically.
In order to ascend, you will need to defeat him. Having defeated the boss, you've earned the right to ascend. But first, the loot. The keys you have found may be used to open the various treasures in the vault at the end of the floor. We only have a single bronze key, so we'll just have to open one of these small chests.
Oh,
If
that's
you
gonna
want to open the better
trigger
ones, you'll
me.
need silver or gold keys. Let's use the Altar of Ascendancy.
No.
Your first ascension will allow you to pick your class and grant you 2 points to use in the tree. Now there are more floors and many more rewards that can be found within the Trial of the Secumus, but we'll save that for the section on the endgame. For now, let's talk about the second Ascendancy trial, the Trial of Chaos. In Path of Exile 2, you can choose whichever trial you like to earn your ascension. Each culture on Rayclast had their own methods to ascend. If the Trial of the Secumus is not your kind of playstyle, or you're finding it too difficult, you could try another. You can gain all your ascension points from just one, or mix and match them. It's up to you. For early access, we will have 2 trials as options, with a 3rd trial coming later for the full release.
Okay.
While exploring the Vaal jungle, you'll discover the Temple of Chaos. Before the Vaal embraced the science of corruption, their civilization worshipped chaos. This ancient trial was once used by the Vaal to test their high priests. A high priest of the Vaal must show willingness to risk everything to gain power. Entry to the trial requires a token from a strange entity known only as the Trial Master. For those in which he sees potential, he shall inscribe an ultimatum. Many have attempted these trials in search of greatness. Most have perished. Will you be able to defy the odds? Before you begin each chamber,
lot of really
the Trial
cool
Master
art.
will offer you a reward and a choice. Choose one of 3 tribulations to affect you through the rest of the trial. These modifiers might beef up the monsters, curse the player, or add environmental hazards like turrets or trap runes.
Oh, that's cool.
In this case, we'll be picking
so it's a
shocking
different type of
turrets.
roguelite trial.
As you enter the room, the Trial Master will fill it with hazards to test your commitment. In this case, you must destroy all the monsters that fill the room, while dealing with the lightning projectiles from the shocking turrets.
That's gonna be so ridiculous. Like, how are you gonna, like... So, The whole not taking damage or like not getting hit thing or you lose honor like is cool idea, but so many problems with it, especially accessibility issues. Because you're gonna have an issue in any game, like what game it is, where you can't decipher what fire is your fire versus their fire versus like stuff like that. You get hit by stuff like that and you lose points in this. So, and especially people that can't see colors correctly and so on and so forth. Like, I don't know. I think it'll still be fun. I know I'm going to be ranting about it because I'm going to.
After each room, you will need to
screw it
make
up
a choice.
all the time.
Take the rewards you have earned so far, or go double or nothing. Increase your rewards, but take on more risk. Each tribulation you add is minor on its own, but they quickly stack on top of each other and can become overwhelming. There are many types of chambers in the trial. Each will test your resolve in different ways. This one simply requires you survive for a certain amount of time. Another requires you to escort the stone idol through the level as elevators full of monsters descend to attack you. Should you be able to get through the first 3 chambers, you will face your first boss. The order of the bosses is random, and combined with the tribulations you have selected, the fight will never feel the same. After defeating the boss, you may claim your rewards. Of course there are the items, but you also gain the right to ascend. If you already did the Trial of the Sekhmers, then you can claim 2 more points to add to your Ascendancy class. Now it's possible to go much deeper. There are more bosses, rewards, and risks to take, but we'll talk more about that when we get to endgame. So how about we talk about that now? So far we've only been showing you footage from the campaign, but some people would argue that the endgame is where the game truly begins.
Yes.
Something that happens almost every time a new action RPG launches is people saying, there isn't enough endgame content. Well, we want to make sure that in PoE 2 people don't feel that way, and we actually only changed our development priority for this recently. The first 3 acts of PoE 2 already take around 25 hours to complete if you're a new player. This is already a pretty significant campaign. On the other hand, people spend hundreds of hours in endgame each league. We realized that finishing the rest of the campaign for early access was actually a bad idea. Instead of having acts 4 to 6 in early access, we could concentrate on endgame and make that great. For new players, a 25-hour campaign is already a huge game with lots of content. But for existing action RPG players, what you mostly care about is all the endgame challenges to overcome. So several months ago...
Yes, but you already said that there's a lot that's tied to those campaign things that you just removed.
We switched the entire development team's focus over to making in-game content. At the start of early access, there will be 50 bosses and around 400 monster types. But the great thing is that the rest of the game is like 80% there. We'll be adding content to roughly double the size of the game during early access and into release.
What? Hang on. Huh? Hang on. Say that again.
There's all the in-game challenges to overcome. So several months ago, we switched the entire development team's focus over to making in-game content. At the start of early access, there will be 50 bosses and around
50 bosses, 400 monster types. Okay.
But the great thing is that the rest of the game is like 80% there.
The rest of the game is 80% there. Did PoE 2 drop yet? Not yet. I didn't even see the message. I thought it was somebody else typing. The 6th. Hoping it could be the 6th anytime now. That'd be great. I'm confused by this statement though, because if it's 80% there, right?
We'll be adding content to roughly double the size of the game during early access and
So if it's 80% there, how are you doubling the content? That percentage doesn't really line up to me. So I guess it's maybe what he means is it's 80%. I don't know, because that doesn't that math doesn't.
Into release. Now, in order to make the endgame happen at the same character level as what it would be after we added the rest of the acts, we've added a second difficulty level called Cruel, where you repeat the campaign with all the monsters and bosses leveled up.
meant the rest that's not done yet is 80% done.
For new players, a 25-hour campaign making in-game content. At the start of early access, there will be 50 bosses and around 400 monster types. But the great thing is that the rest of the game is like 80% there.
That wording is very weird if that's what he apparently meant. Because, like...
We'll be adding content to roughly double the size of the game during early access and into release.
I don't know. That's a weird way of saying that. And if they're planning on doubling the content by release, that would mean that there'd be 100 bosses and 800 enemy types, right? But hang on. Let me see what else.
Campaign with all the monsters and bosses leveled up. And of course, new rewards. You can kind of think of it as like a new game plus. It's also a lot faster to get through the content the second time as your clear speed increases. That will take you to around level 65, where the endgame begins. Once we add the remaining 3 acts, we'll be removing cruel difficulty, so you'll progress straight from the end of Act 6 to endgame. But what is the endgame?
Yeah, let me get to this part. So I wonder if we're gonna get the stuff from 4, 5, and 6.
To explain that, I'll hand over to Mark. He can tell you all about it.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile 2. Well, one thing that Path of Exile is known for is having a lot of distinct endgame content to choose between. Each endgame mechanic needs to have its own progression system, areas, bosses, rewards, and player power that can only be gained from that content. We are going to be adding a lot more over time, but for Path of Exile 2 we decided to start with 7 distinct systems you can progress through.
This is the Atlas, and it serves as the core of the endgame for Path of Exile 2. It's infinite and expands in all directions.
Used a word really bad to use. I highly doubt that, but, like... Okay, let's
Now,
see.
we are not going to spoil the plot too much here, but corruption from the beast has blighted the land, and your objective is to help fight it. In the center of the Atlas you will find the Ziggurat, a temple in which the Val research the fundamentals of space and time. Here, we can open portals to nearby locations and begin cleansing corruption and finding resources. In order to power the portal device, we will need waystones. Each waystone has a tier which will determine the level of the monsters that you will face. To go to an area, simply click one that is adjacent to an area that you have already completed. Insert the waystone and click Traverse. Portals will open, allowing you and your party to travel to the area you have selected. All the areas in the endgame feel distinct from the locations in the campaign, and we have dialed the randomization up to 11. The monster packs you will face in each map are totally random, and the combination of them can lead to some very interesting combat situations. There are over 400 monster types in early access, and they have a lot of varied and interesting abilities. Depending on which combinations you face, you might find some serious challenges. In order to cleanse the corruption from the area, you will need to defeat all the powerful rare and unique enemies in it.
They also technically keep saying that there's 400 and so forth in early access. They're not saying at early access launch.
Once you have done that, the area will be marked as completed and you will be able to travel past it to progress deeper into the world. If you die, then the map can no longer be run, and you will have
I'm curious how long you could stay in that form. Say that again?
progress deeper into the world. If you die, then the map can no longer be run, and you will have to find another way around to get to the areas behind it. There are also all kinds of other random encounters you might run into as you play maps. One such encounter are precursor artifacts. These are ancient, corrupting monuments that irradiate the monsters around them. The monsters that feed off the corruption are drawn to their power. If you defeat the monsters and cleanse the artifact, you will get a powerful temporary buff. Some of the buffs make you faster, others rain lightning or fire around you, and some even give you increased experience or help you find better items. You can
I'm hoping that optimization's a bit better than what I'm seeing here because it's looking pretty rough when it comes to that.
also find
But
strong
they probably have everything turned up specifically for the demonstrations.
boxes. These enigmatic chests guard piles of treasure.
God,
They're
that thing
always a
is...
trap. Monsters lie in wait to attack you
Oh,
the
that's
moment
okay.
you open it.
I was gonna
and
say
the
that thing's gonna be
boxes
so
often
hard to
have
see.
mechanisms to unleash powerful spells or dangerous debuffs. There are different types of strong boxes containing different items, and you can even use your currency items to craft them on the fly, so you can optimize the content. But be careful of opening one you can't handle.
Now that's the way the screen should have
Sometimes you'll
looked
discover
in
monsters
Diablo.
frozen in essences, solidified crystalline corruption. These dangerous monsters can be broken free. If you defeat them, the essence they drop can be used to upgrade normal items to magic items with a guaranteed mod from a category.
Okay. Yeah, that's the...
For example, we could use this one on some boots to ensure a movement speed
Oh.
mod.
That's cool. Okay.
Rarely, essences will also drop that allow you to upgrade magics to rares, adding the guaranteed mod. This is incredibly powerful, since it allows you to get a second deterministic mod in your crafting projects. Combining these with the currencies that are commonly found in Rayclast for modifying items, and we can get a very nice pair of boots indeed. Waystones, like all items, can also be crafted using your currency items. Adding prefix mods will improve the rewards, while suffix mods increase danger. The more dangerous a map is, the more waystones will drop. Adding mods to your waystones is key to progressing to higher tiers and sustaining them, but it will require you to take on larger challenges. There are a variety of factors you'll have to consider when crafting your waystones. Some maps will have higher density, some lower, some have more magic and rare chests, or monsters, some are more linear, and others more open. Make sure you explore and think about what makes certain maps good if you want to maximize your returns. As you cleanse corruption from higher and higher tiers of the Atlas, you will gain points that you can spend in the Atlas tree. This tree allows you to juice the danger and rewards of all areas in the endgame. You could increase the number of monsters, the number of rares, the number of precursor artifacts or strongboxes, even the quantity of item drops.
That's gonna make it, like, if there's, like, leaderboards and stuff like that, that's gonna create a very difficult scoring situation. But maybe they're just talking about this in particular.
As you explore the endgame world map, you'll notice various different biomes, from snow-capped mountains to dense jungle valleys. Most maps are restricted to certain biomes. As you continue to explore deeper into the Atlas, there are all sorts of things to discover. These cities are constructed by different peoples of Rayclast, and have specific items that can be found there. These strange structures marked on the map don't appear to do anything for now. Perhaps you'll work out how to use them later. You might find unique maps like Untainted Paradise, an undisturbed island full of beasts that give an extreme amount of experience. You may even find a lonely man just enjoying his retirement who will give you a unique item for free. In addition, you can find special areas that would make a good spot to set up camp. Clear these areas of their hostile inhabitants, and you'll be able to claim them as your own hideout. You can decorate
nice.
your hideout as you see fit, and invite various NPCs to join you there to create your own personal base of operations. A great tool for exploration are towers. These mysterious precursor constructs are dotted around the Atlas. Completing the tower will reveal a large area around it, allowing you to scout out your next challenge. There are lots of things to find, so
that
keep
makes sense.
looking.
It reminds me of,
Some
like,
sections
Civilization.
of your Atlas are influenced by corruption. This adds extra modifiers to the maps in the region, increasing difficulty and rewards. Here, slaying monsters in close proximity to each other will cause the vestiges of corruption within them to merge together, forming powerful and grotesque abominations. You may have noticed while looking at the atlas that some of the areas have these icons above them. The icon indicates that the area contains some kind of special encounter. This icon indicates that the area has a powerful boss. Because only 1 in 4 maps contain a map boss, we are able to make them very powerful and very rewarding. These bosses come from the campaign, but have had their difficulty increased with changes to AI and some of their abilities.
Smart. That's how you reuse content. That is the right way of doing it. Not just like giving you bosses that are from the campaign, etc., that you see one time and then you never see them again.
It's worth noting that because you can see where the bosses are, you can choose to take them on or avoid them. If you do choose to hunt bosses though, then you will be rewarded with special points for the boss hunting section of the Atlas skill tree. The points here will allow you to specialize in boss killing, giving you much greater rewards for defeating them.
That's cool. Okay.
For each different type of content in the
Which also means that you could technically do like boss carry type builds. Not carry, but like focused builds.
endgame, we are adding specialized trees in order to make it so you don't feel the need to respec your points when you change between different types of content. We will be showing you 7 of these by the end of this presentation, so there is still a lot more to come. Bosses are not the only icon you will see on the Atlas. Let's take a look at one of the endgame systems, Breach. If you played PoE 1, you might be familiar with Breach. For PoE 2, we have created sequels to several PoE 1 leagues. While the mechanic is familiar, the monsters, bosses, rewards, and progression are all new. A breach is a tear in the fabric of reality. Opening it will allow you to see the demons and otherworldly monstrosities that lie in wait on this other plane of existence. By engaging with a breach, you'll create a bridge between their world and Rayclast. In order to keep the breach open, you will need to kill the demons that pour forth. The faster you can kill the monsters, the more monsters you will fight, and the more loot you will find. You can also find clasped hands that will open and drop more items if you run over them. These can be a good boost to the rewards of the breach, so keep an eye out. One of the rewards that you may find while fighting monsters from Breach are tablets. Tablets are special items that can be used with precursor towers to add more encounters to the Atlas. Breaches will drop breach tablets. Clicking on a completed
Wait, so you have to have the tablet to make it infinite?
tower will allow you to consume the tablet to add more breaches to areas within range
Oh
of
no,
the tower.
breaches.
This
Got
makes
it.
all the content in the Atlas self-sustaining. Want to do more breaches? Find the tablets, add them to your towers, get more breaches, getting more tablets. Soon your Atlas will be covered in otherworldly domains.
That's cool.
In addition, like all items in PoE, you can craft them. Use your currency to add mods to your tablets, allowing you to upgrade all the breaches in range. Tablets can have
Smart.
up to 2 mods. These mods do things like adding extra rare monsters, extra clasped hands, or even monster density.
They're adding
of
modifiers to
breaches,
basically all
allowing you to
in-game
keep
type
them
stuff,
open
so
longer. Often
smart
you
way
will
of
find
doing it.
multiple towers near to each other with overlapping areas of effect. This can allow you to really juice the mechanic by stacking the mods from multiple tablets.
Bigger question though is if these things are going to have any kind of like leaderboard scoring type thing to them, depending on if these modifiers are like set modifiers or if they're random in some form or something like that. It's going to create a huge disparity between like a leaderboard of this is going to be, you know, so and so did this in 2 seconds, you know, versus like somebody not able to match the same type of area that they're clearing basically for that score.
In your fight to hold the breach demons at bay, you may want to use the powers of their world against them. Each in-game mechanic always has player power that can only be gained from that mechanic, and Breach is no different.
It's going to be so
In
hard to
Breach,
see your
you will
character in
find
that.
Catalysts, items
hope-
that can increase the quality.
I really hope they have accessibility options for that. That's a big thing that like Diablo didn't have. They added lots of cool little like fancy little things and so on and so forth for like graphical stuff, but like it was so hard to keep track of anything, especially I mean just like by watching this, right? Like it's going to be really difficult for me to even track my character through all that shit, let alone in a group.
has player power that can only be gained from that mechanic, and Breach
I'm sure
is
they
no
probably do,
different.
though.
In Breach, you
Not
will
their
find
first go-around.
catalysts, items that can increase the quality of rings and amulets by improving specific mobs. You can also find Breach Rings, a special base
Yeah, I
type
saw
that can have its
those.
quality improved by catalysts up to 50%. In this case, you could create a ring with around 170 life. Breach Rings can become some of the strongest rings in the game, giving you some good motivation to face the demon hordes. In addition, each endgame mechanic needs to have a pinnacle endgame encounter. While killing Breach monsters, you may find Breach Splinters. Collect enough of these and you'll be able to create a Breach Stone. Using a Vaal technology called the Realm Gate, you can use your Breach Stone to access their domain and bring the fight to them. In
Oh.
this twisted domain, you will find nothing but a single massive breach. Triggering it will reveal hordes of breach inhabitants. And should you be fast enough, you will be able to fight their leader, Zesht. We that are one.
Ew. Ew. Ew.
This is just one of the pinnacle encounters of PoE 2. We won't be showing the rest of them, so you will have to discover them for yourself. But rest assured, this is some of the hardest content we have ever made. All of these encounters have specific uniques that can only be found from them, but that's not all. We still have the progression system. Defeating Zesht will give you points to allocate into the breach section of the Atlas tree. Allocating these points will make breaches and the breach domain even harder, but will give you more rewards. The small nodes will increase the difficulty of the twisted domain, while the large nodes have more specific bonuses. For example, this node adds more clasped hands to your breaches, and adds a pack of magic monsters that can guard them. Get some more points and you can allocate Waking Nightmare, which will double the number of splinters you get from clasped hands, and
Okay.
inflict you with a mysterious debuff. In
gonna say, there's
to
gotta
earn
be
more
bonuses,
points, you will
right?
need to defeat Zesht at a higher difficulty, and some rewards from Zesht can only be found by increasing the difficulty of the Twisted Domain above certain thresholds. Defeating Zesht at difficulty 4 will be a challenge indeed, but there are many more threats in Rayclast. Ritual altars are sacrificial sites built by the mysterious King in the Mists. If you encounter this symbol on the Atlas, then you know that the area contains ritual altars. Ritual altars demand tribute. Every monster you slaughter in the circle will feed the altar. After the sacrifice, touch it to begin the ritual. The monsters you just killed will be
Ew.
resurrected by the King
Ew.
of the Mist's dark magic, and you must fight to survive. The tribute you have offered to the altar can be spent to buy powerful items, but they can be expensive. To gain more tribute, you will want to find more altars. Each successive
Oh.
ritual you do within an area will spawn the monsters revived by the previous ones, in addition to the ones you sacrifice next to it. By the end of an area, you'll be fighting a
Eesh.
truly imposing number of foes, but will have a significant amount of tribute to spend. One of the rewards you can buy with tribute are omens. These are special items that allow for metacrafting. Crafting items that affect other crafting items. Have an item with good prefixes but bad suffixes? This omen will help you to remove the mods you don't want, while keeping the ones you do. There are a bunch more of these with different effects, but we will leave them for you to discover. Now,
God, there's
don't
so
forget,
many,
Ritual will
like modifying items. It's gonna be so hard for like, I mean, at least for me, it's gonna be so hard for me to track because I don't know them like everybody else does. But jeez.
also drop tablets, which can be used to specialize into getting more rituals. If you want to get to the pinnacle boss of ritual, then you will probably want to use them. They can also be crafted to grant mods, making your rituals more rewarding. The pinnacle encounter of ritual is the King in the Mists. Feared by the Asmeri people, he is said to have brought eternal darkness to the Wildwood. We won't show the encounter, but just like Breach, there are a range of unique items you can get for defeating him, and you will gain points in the ritual section of the Atlas tree. Some maps have been touched by insanity. A mysterious entity has taken a special interest in you. Step through the looking glass and you will find your nightmares coming to life. When you touch a mirror, the mists of delirium will spread
Whoa.
out across the area, infecting your mind. You must stay within the mist to maintain the nightmare, which is as profitable as it is terrifying. Everything you kill will increase the rewards that drop. However, the deeper into the mist you travel, the stronger the monsters are. Be careful not to overstay your welcome. Rare and unique enemies will become vessels for terrifying demons, who will manifest out of them to unleash powerful attacks on you. The mist also offers a strange crafting material, distilled emotions. By combining
Yeah, it does
these
look
emotions,
really, really
you are
good.
able to instill your amulet with a notable from the passive skill tree. This is like gaining an extra passive point for free, attached
There's so many things to add on other things.
to your gear. They are also particularly great because you don't have to traverse the tree to get them, allowing you to get off-class bonuses that would normally be much harder to get.
That's cool.
Distilled
Like that,
emotions
okay.
can also be used to instill your in-game maps, applying Delirious to them and adding additional difficulty and rewards, allowing you to further juice your in-game maps. The tablets you can find from Delirium can be used to further improve it, increase pack size, make the fog dissipate slower, or improve your progress towards the pinnacle encounter of Delirium.
See, what's crazy to me is like the end game list for like level 65 to whatever was like they mentioned hundreds of hours, right? But these areas that we're seeing here, I mean, these are just the beginning of the areas, what I've seen. There is an incredible amount of mob density, so on and so forth, that you can add to these. So like, are you like getting like 1 XP per kill? Because that's gonna be absolutely bonkers for like the mob density that you're killing versus like how much XP you're getting. And I feel like it's gonna feel drawn out, if that makes sense. Like, obviously it's gonna be a grind, but like I feel like it's gonna feel endless almost, and just kind of like you're slugging around. You know what I mean? Trying to catch up to that level. Yeah, like the grind's gonna be there. I just feel like it's gonna be, you're gonna end up feeling like you're not making any progress, you know what I mean? Versus like an actual grind that you enjoy. But I don't know. Like it'll be interesting because there's always a problem with, I mean, shooters, it doesn't matter, anything with stats in it when it comes to like percentage changes and so on and so forth. And there's so many modifiers in PoE as it is, and PoE 2 is going to have even more, obviously. It's going to be crazy how much you can add and modify, and like, you know, I have a feeling there's going to be some pretty crazy stuff that breaks, if that makes sense.
Speaking of which, every now and then you will find simulacrum splinters. The mysterious entity will create strange encounters based on warped versions of your own memories. Monsters and simulacrums come in waves that get progressively more difficult. You will receive loot at the end of each wave, and you will have to make the decision to leave now or continue on, facing up against even tougher foes from the mist. The bosses you will face as you get deeper into a simulacrum are truly terrifying. If you can complete a simulacrum, you will gain points for the Delirium section of the Atlas skill tree. Next up, we have Expedition. Occasionally, while clearing corruption, you will encounter these Kalguran settlers. The Kalgurans have discovered ancient burial sites with lost Verisium artifacts.
You're not supposed to get to 100. 90 to 100 is more than 1 to 90. Yeah, see, that, like, that kind of mentality with it, though, is... I've seen many a games where they're like, you're not supposed to get to this level, but the level's there, you know what I mean? And it creates a sense of, like, everybody wants to get to that level, no matter what it is. If the level's there, people want to get to it. Tell them they can't get to it, it just ends up, like, not being a good experience. Because people want to get there. They want that dopamine hit of getting there. You know, at least it's, like, to some point, you know, and obviously not taking 10 years to get there. Because if you make it too much, then people aren't going to want to play because it's too much. But then, you know, you make it too little and people are just going to go through it in 5 seconds. You know? It's going to be interesting how they balance it. I'm very, very curious how they do it, like, from the dev side of things when it comes to balancing so many different things all at once. You know?
And they want you to help dig them up with explosives. The Kalgurans have marked the locations where the relics can be found. Place explosives as best you can to dig up as many as possible. There is just one problem. Corruption has brought the corpses of their ancestors to life, so you might have to do a little cleanup before you can reclaim the artifacts.
Huh. Kind of a cool little thing.
You can also find remnants, the destruction of which will further anger the restless dead.
Almost
Each
seems like a
one
little
you blow
minigame.
up will make the subsequent monsters more powerful, but also more rewarding. Danig, Rog, Tujin, and Gwenin will exchange the artifacts for useful items and runic magic. You can also find tablets to increase the number of expeditions and the rewards. This one increases the radius of explosives.
There's
while
so many
this
things
one
labeled
increases
tablets.
the number of remnants you will find. Eventually, you might discover a logbook. These are special maps full of buried treasure and relics. Essentially, one giant dig site. Here, you can create an extremely long chain of explosives and go through a very high number of remnants. But be careful.
Holy moly.
Many remnants have mods that can really brick your build, so you will probably want to avoid these ones. If you add too many remnants, you could easily make the encounter harder than you can handle. There are all sorts of interesting things buried under the ground in logbooks. You might find dripping caves and hidden pirate caches. But the most powerful encounter is Olroth, the ancient undead commander of the Knights of the Sun. Defeating him will grant you unique rewards, as well as points to spend in the expedition section of the Atlas tree. So
He doesn't look
those
very
are the
friendly.
in-game systems on the Atlas, but
Still doable in people's time, it's just not super beneficial to XP it takes. 5 to 6. Wait, does it still have giveaway in the title? Did it update my title to something different? Hang on. No, it didn't. Okay. I was confused for a second. Unless it's somewhere. Oh, it's probably on my. I probably didn't update my YouTube thing when I did the multi-stream. Oh God. My bad there, Patrick. I'm streaming on like 4 different places, so I think when I hit go live on the other one, I didn't remove that from the title. I will have some giveaways, but it won't be. Well, I'll probably will do a Path of Exile one as well. Probably more than one. But haven't figured that out yet. That was for the giveaways for Once Human. Yep, I didn't take it out of the title because I was a dummy. And it still has Once Human in the title. Which, actually, I did update that. It never... Actually, it didn't update the one on Twitter, either. Oh? Now, I know 100% that I updated those. Sorry, give me 1 second here. I will actually have to restart. The Twitch one will still be up. I don't know why these didn't. I don't even know if I have to have the sponsored thing on the YouTube title or not. All right, give me 1 second. I'm gonna restart. Let's see. It'll restart TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. Give me 1 second.